And hello. Welcome to the Absolute Football Podcast. It is just not Monday once again. It's Tuesday once again. I keep forgetting what day we're even on. It's Tuesday once again. And we would be here to talk Premier League. But funnily enough, there wasn't any this week. So we've got FA Cup. We've got live Champions League action at the minute. If you're catching us live, because there's Manchester City, Real Madrid going on. There's FA Cup action. There's also Championship, League One, League Two. There's just so much football going on. So I had to bring. If there was going to be two of us, with Valentine's Day coming up. Who would you rather spend your evening with than Senor Grimmy? Hello, Grimmy.
Senor Grimmy, I'll take that. Yes, I'm very well, Sam. I'm doing very well. Enjoyed the weekend's action. I'm sure we'll speak a lot about it. How are you doing?
I'm not doing too bad at all. Of course, Senor Grimmy, because we're trying to manifest a Real Madrid comeback here. Currently 1-0 down against Manchester City, so bringing out all the Spanish we can to kind of bring that to the table. I'm doing very well, mate. I'm not doing too bad at all, actually. We were talking tennis, weren't we, off air? So it's been a bit chilly for tennis, but it's coming back in. Getting back into it now. But we're here to talk football today. So it's just the two of us, which is lovely. We've got lots and lots of FA Cup to talk about. But we'll go to the chat as well, because Spenny fan Chris has been here since seems the weekend, I think, with all the game updates we've got going on in the chat. So Spenny fan Chris in here, first of all, saying evening to us, evening to you, Spenny fan Chris. And he's giving us some updates, of course. It is Forest 1, it was Exeter 1, Nottingham Forest 1. I believe that's the latest score. Full time in the Champions League, Brest 0, PSG 3. It looks like PSG are well on the way through. And then we had a bit of drama. Manchester City 1-0, Real Madrid Haaland. Benny Fan Christos, VAR checking for offside. And goal given. So we've had all the details. And important news for Shah as well. Dale are 2-1 up against Wolves' youth in the National League Cup. So that's all good news coming through. And hello to you, Sean, as well. So very, very, very exciting. And you may have noticed that, although it's the Premier League show, I'm wearing a particular shirt of a championship side that plays in green, that love a good pasty, as we all love a good pasty, don't we, Grimmy? We all love a good pasty.
Absolutely.
And we're going to go straight to Plymouth 1, Liverpool 0. Grimmy, how did that make you feel?
Absolutely amazing. All the pain I've endured this season as a Man United fan was made all worth it by that game yesterday. I'm not even going to hide it. I'm usually quite level-headed when it comes to Liverpool losing, but this one felt better than most. It doesn't happen very often this season, so I'm taking any sort of victory I can get out of that.
I would take it. Modesty out the window. Why not? Just enjoy the moment. It was something special, as you said. Like, I think if we're talking about it fairly, it's kind of saying, okay, Liverpool haven't put a foot wrong all season, as you said. Like, there's nothing really to kind of pick any holes in, to be honest. It's all been pretty incredible for Mr. Arne Slot's team so far. But I think if we had some shockers down on the coupon, probably Plymouth bottom of the Championship, even with Liverpool would not Salah and Van Dijk. We know that's going to be the argument, but still a fairly good team. So a lot of the top players were there.
Yeah.
There was a surprise. I mean, did you think any point going into it? Did you think, here we go, Plymouth will give them a game, or were you just expecting a rollover?
Oh, realistically, Liverpool should have been winning that 2-0, 3-0, maybe, even without Van Dijk and Salah. No, there's no way. You always hope in the FA Cup there's going to be a bit of FA Cup magic, like there's going to be something that comes to the fore, but yeah, there's no way. I don't think anyone, not even Plymouth fans, would have been envisioning anything like that yesterday. So, yeah, Liverpool should be winning that, really.
And there's another one of those you felt, even at 1-0 with Plymouth, you thought, here we go. This is because we saw, and we'll come to the other game, late in Orient going 1-0 up against Man City, kind of similar feeling. You're just like, can they hold it? Can they hold it? But you could feel the tension in the crowd. Liverpool were kind of putting on. But the thing that was giving me a little bit, and the joy I was getting, was defenders getting stuck in and giving it the big uns when they'd made a block or just out for a corner. And there was some like old school defending going on, which was literally just like, I'm throwing every part of my body that I can in front of this ball to stop it crossing the line. And the keeper had a pretty good game as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. In a weird coincidence, one of my close friends who I know from Ireland, Michael, he was in the same class as the keeper from Plymouth, and he was like, I played football against him, and he never made saves like that he did yesterday. So, yeah, it was like defensively, it was like you say, a throwback to the year. And to be honest, you need, if you're going to do something like that, like they did yesterday, you need that energy, and tackles like that will get the crowd going, which then feeds into the players. And the crowd will have played just as big a part as the players did yesterday, trying to keep them going towards the end. Because I think even the last 10 minutes, some of them were dead on the feet, as you would expect, really, against a team like Liverpool. So, yeah, it was just an amazing performance all around, really, defensively.
Certainly was indeed. Spenny fan Chris is making the point that Newcastle made changes and still just about won. So Liverpool have a bad second string team. There you go. You think that's fair, Grimmy?
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird one, because I always think, even if you're in sort of League One, League Two, if you're like near the top and you're in, like having a good season, I always think it's tricky for even the top tier teams to go down and play them, because they're in good form and they have a bit of confidence. Whilst if you say you're playing a lower string team who's maybe struggling in a relegation fight, like you play Plymouth are, it's generally a little bit easier for the bigger teams to go to, because they're not exactly feeling confident about themselves and not exactly, on their best, in the best shape or whatever. But it did make me think yesterday with the result of, does this make Liverpool owners, directors, whatever, directors of football, whatever you want to call them, does this make them now go invest in that second string in the summer even more so than they were going to, even if they go win the Premier League? Because, say, for example, Salah does go, Trent goes, or Van Dijk stays, or whatever combo of staying in and out goes, does this show that without them, they are going to be struggling next year, and they need a bit more of a rebuild job in the background than maybe we initially thought? I mean, what do you think on that?
I think part of that's fair, because I mean, we've all been surprised by how well that first string has done this year. Let's be fair. There wasn't the expectation that they'd be, I wouldn't have said challenging for the title. I thought they'd be around, because let's be honest, 12 months ago they were there. Apart from the last few months where they sort of fell off, and a lot of that team had stuck together, and that seems to have been what's been the glue in terms of what they've got. And they have been fortunate generally with injuries this season, I think, to enable that first team. And in some areas, I think they've got some of that depth. I think attacking positions, they have more depth than anybody else, I think, in the Premier League. When you look at that, okay, I know there's questions maybe over Darwin, but you've got Salah, Diaz, Jota, Gakpo all performing. Then you go into the midfield positions. McAllister's been excellent. Gravenberch has been excellent. You've got Szoboszlai in there. You've still got players like Harvey Elliott, like Curtis Jones has been fantastic. Endo can come on and do a job. He played at the weekend. There's still some depth in there. Defensive positions, I think, are the ones. Obviously, the Trent situation, Connor Bradley is if they're going to be ready to step in if that happens. Left back, we know they have a long-term issue there, with Robertson dropping down and Tsimikas not there. And we know it's no surprise how important Van Dijk is to that team. And the minute you don't see it, okay, yes, it's not like they got battered. They conceded a penalty with a handball. So not like there's any defensive errors in there, but it is a bit short in there for sure. Kwanzaa's an interesting one, because he came through very quickly last season and kind of with a lot of prep. And I think probably fair, not quite kicked on. Not saying he's done, but not kind of kicked on maybe how we thought he would.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they are. That's going to be the question mark for them this summer. Is going to be the squad, and Slot's first sort of saying, okay, I need this, this, and this. And we may find that towards the end of the season. They're at the FA Cup, but can they compete on the Premier League and the Champions League front and see how that goes? If they do, then they're just tweaking at that point. But if they don't, then there's going to be questions over, right, what do we need to have that squad to go again, as well as you mentioned, the contracts issues that still loom over the top three players, and Salah, Van Dijk and Trent. They're the first things that need to get sorted before I think they can do anything of note in terms of the transfer window. But did you think, what did you make of the attack against Plymouth? Because where are we with Darwin? Where are you with Darwin Núñez and reliability?
That's a loaded question. I don't know, man. I mean, with Núñez, it's like some games I'll watch him and I think, yes, okay, this is the player that they thought they were going to get, and he puts a couple of goals away one game, but then some games he's like that, and then he takes him 10 chances to put one away, and I'm like, this is like the lack of consistency for a Liverpool striker as well. This isn't like a mid-table striker who can turn it on and off sometimes. This is a Liverpool striker who they'd pay a lot of money for. I know, Man United fan, pot kettle black, but I just don't see why they wouldn't try and get another striker in over the summer. I just personally, for me, he's not good enough and clinical enough to be in that team for a sustainable period. Because if something did happen to like one of the front three, I don't think he's the one that gets put in place. I think it's Gakpo or someone like that, or Jota. He is very much again, he plays fairly regularly, but I think he is the bottom of the picks if we need to pick him. So I feel like they could probably just go get someone a bit younger and with a bit more potential for probably about half the price they paid for him, and they would probably get a few more goals as well. So yeah, it's just he's a frustrating one, Núñez, because you can see the characteristics are there. He just doesn't have that consistency.
It's quite. I was trying to someone as a finisher. It's quite snatchy. As you said, like there's times where he looks emphatic and he scored some fantastic. I always remember the two he scored at Newcastle. Was it last season where they were kind of very instinctive and everybody thought, here we go, now he's going to hit it, but it didn't kind of. I don't think it got kind of a lot of coverage last season, but I thought he was quite wasteful in the running when they needed the goals in those tight games. There was one at Old Trafford he should have put in. Where they drew at Old Trafford, which would have been kept them up, I think, with the leaders at that point. And as you said, like I don't think he's going to be their go-to. Jota, the problem they've got with Jota is obviously injury based, isn't it? Is the fitness of kind of keeping him there. So I do think they've done 2 years with Darwin, and particularly if Salah goes, they're going to have to rethink that front three entirely because it does massively change things. And it might change slightly how they want to play if Salah does go, because he's a very particular type of player and he's a Rolls Royce that you play towards. You play towards the strengths of Salah. So, I think it's interesting because the summer's going to be everyone's after a striker, aren't they? I mean, Arsenal didn't get one in January. They're going for one. Yeah. Chelsea will go for one. You've got probably City are now done. Newcastle, they're quite happy with theirs. But beyond that, I think then you're looking at teams up top. You now look at even Villa with the rumours with Watkins possibly was linked in the summer. People might be coming in for him. They might want to do a deal with somebody. Manchester United are not happy with their forward line, so they're going to be looking to do something.
Yeah, there's literally a report out today saying striker is like number one priority apparently. So who we get, I've got no idea, but because I mean we can't afford anybody at the best of times, so I don't know, maybe Billy Sharp on a loan from Sheffield United, maybe, I don't know.
It'll be Wout Weghorst or Odion Igalo again.
We shouldn't joke. We shouldn't joke
because we've seen it. It could happen, but of course we've got other people coming in as well. Lovely Graham is here. Evening to Graham. Thanks for joining us. Spenny fan Chris keeping us updated with the scores as well. Nottingham Forest now 2-1 up in the FA Cup of 1-ye. So there is still FA Cup, but I still can't get used to the fact that the FA Cup seems to run for a week now. Every sort of round is crazy. We had the draw yesterday, and we still had the Palace game yesterday, and then the Forest game today. And now we're on to like the next week of fixtures, aren't we? With Champions League, and it's all crazy. Oh, this is it. It's the good old days, Grimmy, with a Saturday and Sunday kickoff.
Yeah, I don't mind. I don't necessarily mind the Monday.
Yeah,
I'm not too bad about the Friday, but Tuesday and Thursday is a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah. I've always worked off the premise that the weekend football games go from Friday to Monday. That's what it is. Thursday is the kind of mop up, and it's usually Europa League, or you might have like a postponed, rearranged fixture or an FA trophy or something like that. But then when you get to the weekend, it's the league fixtures or the cup fixtures. And as you said, Monday night under the lights, done. Then we get to Tuesday and we've got all the midweek shenanigans again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Confuses
The
me.
cycle
I'm
of
easily
football.
confused. The cycle of football. The cycle of football. It's what the circle of football. It's what Elton John meant to sing about on The Lion King. But and Graham says it's become quite regular now on a Tuesdays. One eye here on the pod and an eye watching the Charlton game. Charlton love Tuesdays. You know, this is it. They absolutely love Tuesdays. Spinny fan Chris is watching Exeter Forest on TV. He's got the stream. So it's all going round. It's all going on. Crazy stuff. But we'll have another one more word on Plymouth before we kind of go. I like their new manager. I really do. He's just got some way about him where he's kind of like, he's very motivational. Like everything he says, I imagine like it's quite intense with him sometimes. But like I remember he had a very compassing early press conference, which was quite engaging. And obviously he's now gone and beaten Liverpool. But they've gone and drawn Manchester City in the next round.
Please.
I mean,
please, if there's a footballing god listening to me right now, just please.
Please, yeah, and that would make it a treble of Premier League teams because they were. I saw a report today saying could they do two massive shocks? And the chairman, I think, said we did beat Brentford, and Brentford are pretty good as well.
Yeah.
In the third round, they've had a very good season. So yeah, Plymouth versus Manchester City, and I think he reckons that the Etihad are making between 600k and £1 million. He said he likened it to when they played Liverpool about 8 years ago in the bottom tier, I think, and they ended up getting a fee that was worth about a third of their turnover just in that one game. So they couldn't do it again, could they, Grimmy? Is it the year of the pasty?
I will never ever write off Plymouth. After that result on Sunday, I'll never write them off. And the way, you know, it is right. The way City are playing, never say never. Never say never.
Never say never. This is a City team at the minute, as we watch at the moment, still 1-0 up against Real Madrid. So if you're watching this afterwards and they've gone and battered Real Madrid 5-0, then you're saying, what are these guys talking about? But we're reacting as it happens. So yeah, you don't know. And moving on to Manchester City, of course, and the reason why you think that a little bit is they had quite the scare themselves against Leyton Orient. I mean, if you're going to play the 4 times Premier League champions and you're going to score a goal against them, a chip from near enough the halfway line is not bad, is it?
No, there's worse ways to do it. Yeah, 45 yards screamer, I guess you would call it. Yeah, I mean, I didn't see it live, unfortunately. I wish I had. But I was in the middle. I was in the middle of driving. Unfortunately, when I had it on the radio and watching it back, I was just like, I mean, it's a shame that I understand why it got given as an own goal to Ortega, but it would have been nice just to give it to, was it Dobley? Donnelly?
It was Donnelly, wasn't it? Yeah,
Donnelly, that's it. Yeah. It's a shame he didn't get given it, but everyone's gonna now just associate that with him, aren't they? Like, as far as he gets, as many times he gets pulled in for the FA Cup rewinds for the next 5-10 years, everyone's going to remember that goal as his. They're not going to go, oh, it was Ortega's own goal. Unless you're a bitter City fan, then maybe you might say differently. But yeah, phenomenal goal, and that's what it's about. That's what the FA Cup is about, is moments like that. Not necessarily 40-yard screamers, but the underdogs getting a goal against, the squeaky clean persona of Manchester City.
The squeaky giants.
Yeah.
It was a fantastic goal, and as you said, that'll be on the highlight reel now, when it for Leyton Orient and for the FA Cup, sort of in general, that kind of goal. And I watched a fair portion of it, and Leyton Orient played well, and they weren't just holding firm at the back. There were some playing some football. They're keeping the ball fairly nice in periods as well, and you could tell they did rock City a little bit. City had all the big bench stars to kind of come on, but even when that was kind of happening, they weren't peppering. You still got the feeling it was going to turn around as the game tired, which it kind of did, and City found their way through. I mean, it was a deflected kind of goal, an unfortunate way to get an equaliser. But once that happened, you knew kind of which way it was going. But as you said, it's this. That's what the FA Cup is. That's what the joy of it is these ties that bring it together. And yes, a lot of the Premier League teams rest, and they kind of have to with the schedules. I know they get a lot of grief for it, but a lot of them are still taking a fairly reasonable team, and the cups are there to for the Premier League teams to try and get through to the later rounds. That's what they're on, and then it becomes a competition that they need to, and they need to manage that squad. So I can understand it, but there's still good number of players out there of Manchester City. Manchester City have got a massive squad of massive quality. Like there is no doubt about it, and they've spent a lot of money to do so. So they're always going to challenge, but they've never. I think they've got a pretty good record against lower league teams, Man City, though. So you always felt that they kind of would come through. So they've got Plymouth again. So, I mean, they've got Salford, Leighton Orient and Plymouth. So it's not a bad.
Yeah, they've had a really tough draw. Yeah, it's been heartbreaking to watch them have to suffer so much.
I know. To be a Manchester City fan, in these times, terrible. We'll see, because in a month's time, apparently, and they're saying in a month's time, we're going to find out.
That's what Pep said, didn't it? He said that in the press conference about, we'll find out in a month.
In a month. My birthday's in about a month. That would be a lovely birthday
Sam,
present.
Don't put those two things together. Don't tease me like that.
Imagine. Oh, that could be the day of all days, could it not? Like that.
What would you wear on the podcast for that one? You can't wear a Plymouth shirt again. Would it be like a judge's cowl or something? Like,
I don't think I'd be allowed to be on, because my birthday is actually on a podcast day, and I'd probably, that first drink would taste so nicely, I don't think I'd stop. So
the first and the fifth drink got mixed into one.
I might get mixed into one. I might come on for a cameo appearance, but I don't think I'll be in a hosting state of mind probably for that one. So yeah, Manchester City got through. Any other FA Cup ties you want to point out of any excitement that you enjoyed from the weekend?
I mean, I know that it wasn't really exciting, but obviously United got through in their style that they do. There wasn't really much in terms of Chelsea going out maybe to Brighton from one goal up as well. That was kind of that surprised me a little bit because of how Brighton have been. I mean, Chelsea haven't been great themselves, but Brighton certainly have been on the shakier end of the footballing spectrum. So them going through, and obviously I can't remember who Brighton got in the next round. Was it Newcastle? I think so.
Yeah.
Just confused by Chelsea because they seem to have just forgotten how to play football in the past month or two, since Christmas. So yeah, we'll see if Maresca can turn that around, because they're slowly sinking down the table if they're not careful.
Where are you at with Chelsea then? Because they overachieved through everybody in the first half of the season, and now this seems to be a bit like the last season Chelsea are coming back. Have they been worked out, or what do you think the issue is?
It's not like a Spurs problem where they've got injuries or they've got, there's something clearly wrong at the club where it's going to take time to fix it, whether that's a new summer window or something like that. I mean, we know Chelsea are able to spend money because they spend it like the best of them, but I think that the only thing I can put my finger on when I've watched them is they just have this lack of intensity going forward, and they're not able to put chances away. Like, the best example I can give is when they played City and they went 1-0 up within the first 2 minutes or whatever it was, when the centre-back they just bought made that error and Chelsea got in and went 1-0 up. They could have gone on and killed that game from there, and they could have got 2 or 3 in the first 20 minutes, and there just doesn't seem to be a killer instinct. I mean, the goal against Brighton was Palmer putting a hopeful ball in and deflecting it off a defender, so that tells you all you need to know. I just don't think the forward play is where it needs to be. Nicholas Jackson's not scored since the middle of December, if I remember rightly. I mean, Sancho's done not a lot since he's gone to Chelsea. So yeah, the forward line's just not pulling its weight, I don't think. I think that's the only thing I can really, when I've watched them, say it's not quite right there, really.
Yeah, it's that waveforms problem as well. It's been a bit whiffy, their waveform. I was just having a look at it. Obviously losing to Brighton in the FA Cup, but they've not won in 4 away in the Premier League, which includes a loss at Manchester City. They lost to Ipswich, draw at Palace, draw at Everton. Funny enough, they're at Brighton again on Valentine's Day, so they've got a return. Got a return on that. They love Brighton anyway. Let's be honest, they love to talk to Brighton. So why not? Why not go down there again? Yeah, it does seem to be an issue. That and I thought they were fairly defensively sound early on as well, and they're getting caught quite a bit defensively too, where they weren't in the past. And I think they'll be disappointed because Chelsea must have looked at the FA Cup as a possibility. You know, you look at the draw now, which we'll go to in shortly, but the teams that are kind of left there, it does open up for that kind of, should we say, next tier of Premier League sides that aren't battling, because you've now got, say, Liverpool are out, Arsenal are out. So that's leaving you with, say, Manchester City. Then you're dealing with your teams like, you know, your Villas, your Bournemouths, your Newcastle up there have the possibility to do it. Graham is appreciating the word whiffy. It needs to be used more. Yeah, I think whiffy is an exceptional bit of analysis. You won't be getting that with Alan Shearer, Grimmy, on Amazon Prime.
I might describe his analysis as whiffy at times, but that's about it. Yeah,
it's just not happening there. And I'll just go to a couple of the other games there. Spinny Fan Chris was saying Birmingham Newcastle was a quality game. It was a really good game. Birmingham scored really, really early as well. But we'll come on to Manchester United. We will talk Manchester United because we also watched that game, and it does bring us into, I'm sure, some VAR chat. Can't think why, but it will take us into some VAR chat. So obviously it was another exhilarating performance from Ruben's Reds on Friday. I don't know about you. Every time I look at the fixture list and realise we're on, there's kind of a, here we go, right, okay, let's. And then sort of an hour later, you're like, is it started yet? That first half was one of those boring things I'd seen in a long time for me. But we seem to be, you know, they're getting results. You know, the results are happening. The performances are not. Where are you at? What's the current state of play?
What's the current state of play? I mean, who knows at this point? I mean, again, I guess we're at a point in this season now where the results probably matter way more than the performances. I think if we were getting 3-0 losses at home every week, then we'd probably be looking at Amram going, he's probably looking a little bit shaky in terms of keeping that job, because, again, football is a brutal industry, and even if there is a long-term plan and you want to keep a guy on, that doesn't necessarily mean that's what ends up happening. And who knows with Ineos, like what they're going to do in the long term. It's hard to know what they're going to come out with next week, never mind in a season. But we got through, even if it was in I say slightly shady circumstances with no VAR, but I think it's far more important that we got through rather than obviously go out to a Leicester team who, by their own admission, would say they probably shouldn't be anywhere near knocking a team like us out. But again, with the way we're playing, it's certainly doable.
It certainly is, and it was one of those who were playing very poorly when they went 1-0 down. There was no threat, not a lot of anything happening. Garnacho came on and seemed to sort of run at the space a little bit more, and it did kind of bring us back into the game a tad. And Xerxes will never have an easier finish, but was in the right spot, so got the equaliser. We'll, of course, address the elephant in the room. Yes, Harry Maguire was offside. Yes, there's no. It's not like last season. I'm not having last season brought up because last season with the semi-final was a very different incident because there was an onside decision that was made. This one, I had no kind of qualms with because it was offside, but certainly Leicester will have some qualms with because Harry Maguire was fairly offside. As Graham refers to here, to be fair to the assistant referee, it's hard to give an offside when you're looking right along the line and half the team are offside. It is a fair point. And Graham, our Charlton fan, as a goal for Charlton, so Graham is currently running around his living room.
That's not Charlton, that's Shilton.
Shilton. That is what we like.
Shilton.
Score a goal, then it's all right. Text spelling goes out the window with a crazy goal. We've seen it on Twitter many times. Yeah. So Maguire, and they get over the line, and somehow the FA Cup has been a competition United still seem to compete in, despite what's happened over the past 3 years. I'm the same. I don't really know what to take with what's going on at the moment because I want to get behind it. I want to back it. But I'm just so bored in terms of what I'm watching at the same time. So I'm kind of the opposite. I think I'm like, we do need results. But then I'm like, where is this season going to end in the Premier League? Because the reality is they ain't good enough to be challenging into those European spots at the minute, unless something dramatically clicks quickly and that they're capable of putting a run together. But I haven't seen anything that shows me that's the case. They're well away from the relegation zone and all of that nonsense. So they're going to kind of, I think, we're going to float around that mid-table and maybe we'll sneak into the bottom end of it. So I kind of want to see some performance and some clicks and some, okay, going into next season, I like that and I like that and I like that. And, oh, that's definitely not working. But there isn't, it's all kind of a mix match. Even to the extent of, and you can see it now that everybody is everybody's kind of on Twitter at any moment about what's going on with Man United, but we buy a left back and we play him on the right.
Oh, don't. Yeah. Like, I saw that team sheet and I was like, what am I missing here? Is there a reason why he's being played on the right and Dillow's on the left? Am I going crazy here? Very possible. The answer is yes. But besides that, why are we playing a left wing back that we've bought to play on the left-hand side on the right and then take him off at half time when he's not played in the correct position?
Yeah. And can't be a fitness thing, surely, because the guy's been playing for Lecce every week.
I will cry. There will be a puddle of Grimmy tears in this corner at some point if he is injured, because I'll be like, we are cursed at this point.
Yeah, what is going on? I couldn't understand it because him and Ahmad kept getting in the way of each other because he kept trying to go into that space, trying to be inverted with Ahmad trying to kind of do the same thing. And the problem we've had is Dallow is not an outlet on the left. He can't go down the left. He can't, he'll make the run, but then he's always cutting back. It's obvious that therefore to have that man in there just seemed like that was the sensible thing, I would have thought. Yep. But I'm no Ruben Amorim. I'm not criticising Ruben Amorim. It looked a bit sus. We come from the football manager world, Grimmy. If the man's not green in that position, then you're not comfortable. You're not comfortable with that capability. Maybe he's adequate on the right. I don't know. What level is he? I don't know. It's too early to see.
Amber. He's an amber. He's played there once and we can play him again. That's about it, really.
He'll do a job. He'll do a job.
You've got 10 minutes left in the game and you're 2-0 up. It's like, okay, I'll just stick him on there because he's the only option I can actually play there. That'll do.
That'll do. We've got Sean saying, I presume he's referring to the offside with this. Number one rule in football, play to the whistle. So, yeah, you've been told. Sean has made that very clear. Always play to the whistle and you will be golden. Nick is here telling us about the fantastic Forest 2-1 at the moment. Sangara is pulling the strings in midfield, pulling the strings. Mm-hmm. Talking of teams left in the FA Cup. Actually, no, we won't go to that first because we were going to talk VAR. We probably should talk VAR, shouldn't we? Because that's general. There's been a lot of discussion around because obviously there was no VAR this weekend. We all have had a whinge about VAR all season, and then obviously then what happens is then when you don't have it, you get some decisions where I'm sorry, but they were the ones. They're ones where it's like the assistant referees took time off. Do you know what I mean? It's like they've got so used to having the VAR back them up, that they've kind of lost that instinct to get something. Is that kind of what you felt at the weekend? Because there was a couple, wasn't there? We obviously had the goal line decision, which was different because that wasn't in play either for Birmingham, Newcastle. Yeah, and then there was a couple of decisions. I think there was even one in the I can't remember which game it was now. There was Leyton Orient City had one. There was another one in possibly the Everton Bournemouth game as well. What did you take?
Like with VAR, there's so many conflicting opinions. Like it's at the point where it's like you're going to get bad decisions if we have it. You're going to get bad decisions if we don't have it. So pick a side and stick to it. Like it's as simple as that. This whole arrangement of the FA Cup of VAR only comes in round 5 is like, okay, but why? The teams that can have VAR are in from round 3. If it's a case of you're keeping it fair for the lower teams, then don't have VAR at all and just accept that if a mistake happens and you carry on. But if you're not happy with mistakes potentially happening, then bring it in as early as you can to the teams that can have it on. So it's a no-win situation for referees at the minute because if they don't have VAR and make a mistake, they're a rubbish assistant, they're a rubbish referee. If they have VAR, they should have been able to see that themselves. Why do they need technology for it? It's like, and weekends like we've just had in the FA Cup won't help either of those situations because the crowd who want it will just get louder and the crowd who don't want it will just get crazier with the assumptions that they make about what people are doing in the VAR offices, ordering a Domino's or something crazy, not paying attention. But yeah, VAR is its own worst enemy. And for me, if it was me, I'd have it in from day one. So then you can't have any complaints. If a decision gets made, VAR's looked at it, it's right. So therefore, crack on. But yeah, I just find it crazy that they're bringing it in for the next round as if to try and avoid it with the lower teams. It's like, but then like if you had it in from round 3, like say for example, Plymouth were playing at Liverpool yesterday. You had VAR in, gets the 90th minute, Liverpool get one that they think has gone over the line. VAR cancels it out and gives essentially Plymouth the win. But then if VAR wasn't there and they thought it was over the line, it was given, it could ruin Plymouth's entire trip. Yes, they'll be getting a ton of money from Anfield, but the fans would be like, we were like a correct decision away from knocking them out. Thankfully, nothing like that happened. But it's just, yeah, it's a no-win situation basically with VAR at this point for me.
I think it is with the cup competitions in particular, because you said you can't. I think you're saying you have to go one way or the other. You can't be bringing it in, and there's only one way you can go, which you can't have it because you can't use it everywhere at the moment. There isn't a luxury to use it in the loader. So the option is you just don't have it for the competition, and then that's just what we have to live with. Like we lived with it for a number of years, and football was still played, and the FA Cup still had a winner every year. We just have to deal with it. So, but I think to bring it in next round, then you start to, I think, stick with it the whole way. But yeah, it's taken away from next round anyway. So that is kind of what it is. But there was some shocking bad decisions. That is for sure. Whether there's been a bad decision at Charlton, I don't know. Maybe Graham can tell us, because there's a penalty to Peterborough to get back into that one. We'll talk about it all in the Premier League. We'll cover whatever's coming up. We come with it.
Former Premier League club in Charlton. There's your link.
This is it. That's the link. And because it involves Shah, they've gone down on penalties. Rochdale have gone down to Wolves under 21s in there. So we'll just take that off screen. That didn't happen. It wasn't a thing. Doesn't count. So should we talk? We've also got the fifth round draw. Fifth round draw has been made. I did have it on screen and I've clicked off of it, so it's completely disappeared.
I'm trying to find the fifth round draw as well myself.
So it was done. It's done on the One Show, as of course all massive football moments should be for some reason. And it was quicker. I like the fact that it's quicker. It's better than the European ones. That nothing winds me up more, Grimmy, than the faff of a draw. Oh my God, the faff of a draw. We all know what we're here for. I get you've got to introduce whoever's doing that. That's fine. I can just about accept the introduction of the people that are doing the balls and their link to the FA Cup. Great. But when you get to the European ones and it's just such an absolute faff, and at least the FA Cup, it's straightforward because you've got this team versus that team, and it's whoever's in there and whichever ball, and they've all got numbers. I love it. So that was better. But yeah, why it's on the One Show, I don't know. So in the fifth round, we have Aston Villa versus Cardiff City. Aston Villa came through again. Who did Aston Villa being last one? Tottenham, of course, they did. Yes. We're not going to talk Ange because we've been talking Ange for weeks, but I think
let's have it. Let's give Ange let's give him a break, shall we?
We're going to give him a break. He's had a rough week. He looks like he's wearing it a little bit. It's been a bit tough. They did lose to Liverpool as predicted in the EFL Cup, and they're now out to Aston Villa. So things are not great. Exeter have equalised though. Exeter are still fighting away. They're putting a great fight up there against Nottingham Forest. And Chris Spenny fan says Durham FA take less time than the European ones. There you go. Good old Durham. You've got Villa versus Cardiff. So Cardiff, one of few teams not from the Premier League still involved. You've got Bournemouth versus Wolves. Somebody like Bournemouth, I get the feeling someone like Bournemouth could do it, Grimmy. They could do it. I feel Bournemouth are having a great season. They're very difficult to play against. Could Bournemouth win the FA Cup?
Absolutely. I mean, again, you've just told me Exeter's equalised. Before that happened, I was thinking to myself, a Bournemouth or a Forest, like that, it seems primed for someone like that to just go and put a run together and get to like the semis or the final. Any of those mid-table clubs, I would probably rule those out at this point. I feel like there are better teams in the competition.
Well, like 15 of them.
yeah. So So yeah, it's like, I mean, Bournemouth and Forest are the two that jump out to me because of their attacking ability, especially being able to put teams away. So I mean, Villa are another one. The amount of depth they've got attacking wise now as well. And then obviously they have the traitor amongst their ranks, in Rashford. So like, and I mean, he looked sharp. He looked like a man reborn against Spurs when he came on. I mean, God, where's he been for the past 2.5 years?
Where's this Marcus Rashford challenging for headers? When's that ever been a thing?
I mean,
What's that all
as
about?
far as I can remember, he could jump in the air, and then basically, if someone touched him, he didn't know what to do. Like he'd struggle with any sort of physical contact. So, yeah, but again, I don't have any ill will against Rashford. Like I generally hope he does well because again, any former United players, unless they're called Carlos Tevez, I've always wanted them to do well. So, yeah, same with him. Unless it's against us, obviously next season when he inevitably ends up scoring a hat trick or something stupid against us. But yeah, again, it's the nice thing about this year's FA Cup is it seems like it's anybody's to win. Like it doesn't feel like it's City are going to get to the final and then maybe someone can beat them in a fluky 2-1. But not that that's ever happened. But yeah, it's up for anybody, even mighty old Plymouth.
Mighty old Plymouth. Wouldn't that just be lovely? She said, I don't think. I'd be surprised if United were there. But I mean, it's been Manchester United, Manchester City last two finals, and I know nobody really wants to watch that again, probably apart from Manchester United or Man City fans. So they'll be willing anybody else, I would imagine, at that point to do it. We've got some great FA Cup knowledge dropping in the chat. So we've got Sean first of all with Kettering are still leading the FA Cup goal scorers with 923. Spurs in second with 915. Is that in the history of what's that in relation to? I like the fact that Kettering are leading, whatever it relates to. Does that relate to total goals ever?
I would assume so, yeah. I don't think they've scored 923 this season, have they?
They're possible, they might have had some very good early rounds, So it's a hell of a strike force at Kettering. Never rule them out. And Nick says the fifth round draw has been on the One Show for about some time, for 5 years, has it? Oh, there you go. 5 years. It should be the 5 show then. Fifth round, 5 years for the One Show. Why not? It's better than I give it some credit. It's better than the nonsense European one. And Graham says it sounds like quite a game between Kettering and Spurs with that scoreline. I don't have a Desi big enough for that kind of result, unfortunately. I'll have to think about it. Oh, and Jude Bellingham's just headed wide. We do have Man City still 1-0 up against Real Madrid. There are chances. Chances are going in. So, and elsewhere in the Champions League, PSV have scored. Juve won. PSV won. So back to the FA Cup draw. We're all around. We're everywhere. Crystal Palace versus Millwall, which I'm sure will be very, very, very exhilarating for both of those fans. I said that's going to be a hot one for both of those. Exeter or Nottingham Forest versus Ipswich Town. Yep. Manchester City, Plymouth, as we mentioned. Manchester United versus Fulham. I've seen that twice this season. Both games were boring. Looking forward to that one. Newcastle United versus Brighton and Hove Albion at St James's Park as well. Newcastle, of course, now in the EFL Cup final as well. So they're having an exciting run there. And an all-championship tie with Preston versus Burnley. But you said, Grimmy, there's nothing... Okay, Manchester City are there. But as we know at the moment, it's not a City of the past. Still, that's going to be the one you probably want to avoid. But there's nothing scary there, is there? Anyone will fancy their chances going to any of those teams.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like it's what the FA Cup should be, in that one game when it takes all mentality is you could have lost your previous 5 games. You go into one match and you can have the game of your life, and you can get yourself into as deep into an FA Cup draw as you've maybe ever experienced if you're like a Millwall or a Burnley or a Preston and people like that. Like it's a great opportunity. And when you've got that draw of Burnley and Preston together, it means that a championship club's getting quite deep into the tournament, which is always good to see. Obviously, it'd be interesting if Exeter do get through, because again, who've they got? Ipswich, is it? Yeah, it's Ipswich. In the next round, so it's another home tie against another Premier League team. So great for them if they can somehow pull it off against Forest.
And so Ipswich had a good smashed Coventry 4-1 in there. The Coventry, of course, love a good cup run, but not this year. They've been snuffed out by the quality of Ipswich there. So that is the FA Cup draw. That could go a number of ways. That will be played between the 28th and the 3rd of March. So there you go. Happy days indeed. I was just looking actually. So you had, in terms of the draw being made, so Alex Scott and Theo Walcott did it yesterday. And then the draw was made at the Emirates. It's very Arsenal themed this year. It was at the Emirates in the 4th round between Martin Keown and Mark Schwarzer. And then, it was Old Trafford between Mark Hughes and Dion Dublin. Mark Hughes, of course, has just taken... Who's he taking charge of? Someone in the League Two, isn't it? Is it Carlisle?
Carlisle, yeah. Yeah, because Carlisle are in deep trouble, I think, and he's taking them over in a big, massive relegation battle.
Deep doo-doo. They need a bit of spark. So they've gone to Sparky. We're keeping the Lecky on. Keeping the Lecky on with Sparky. It's all possible. So I think that's the FA Cup kind of covered. Shall we have a little look at what's ahead in the Premier League this weekend? The Premier League's going to be back.
Do we have to?
I suppose we do.
As a United fan.
As a United fan, yes, is it? As a Premier League show, we probably should at least have a gan. Oh, of course, not just the weekend. We've got the Merseyside derby tomorrow, which Rebecca is extremely, extremely excited about, because I think when they were originally supposed to play this game, Everton were playing not very good, and Liverpool playing very, very, very good. So I think we all had that one down as Everton. But this is a David Moyes Everton, and now all the stuff's coming out. It's the last Merseyside derby at Goodison Park, and I get the feeling that there's a Braveheart speech coming up from David Moyes. It might not work, don't get me wrong. Liverpool might go and turn them over, but I get the feeling that they're trying to turn Goodison Park into an absolute fortress for tomorrow. And I get the feeling that could be quite feisty indeed. How does that one go? Can Everton get something off Liverpool?
Absolutely. I mean, if you'd asked me this 4 weeks ago before Moyes took over, I'd have said no chance. But they're defensively good now in comparison to what they were, and they are able to put the odd goal away. So that always gives you a chance. And if anything, gives them a bit more of an edge in any other sort of Merseyside derby than ever before. It's the fact, like you say, it's the final Goodison Park derby. So the fans are going to be in top voice, I imagine. And if that doesn't get the Everton players up for it, I really don't know what can, really.
Yeah, it's about as an emotional, fired up occasion as you could. I want them coming out to the final countdown or something as well. Like literally, tap into it. They need to be absolute warrior mode, I think. I think Slot's kind of prepared for it, because these press conferences today he was talking about, said he wants... so as he said, I can't remember the exact quote. There's something about he wants calm minds, but not calm legs. I think was his. So he knows it's going to be a physical battle, but he needs them to have their wits and their heads about them. So that is going to be an interesting one, because at the moment, Liverpool, of course, are 6 points clear. A win over Everton would take them 9 points clear. But anything that's not a win starts to give hope to Arsenal, who are starting to put a bit of form in together. Martinelli's been confirmed out for a month, though, today. So they're struggling a little bit up top. Obviously, Saka's out long term, and they don't have a striker, but that's their own fault. Leicester, they're at Leicester City. If you recall the reverse of this one, they went 2-0 down, didn't they, at the Emirates against Leicester earlier in the season? Yeah. Should be too strong for Leicester. I mean, the Leicester we saw on Friday, United were poor, but it wasn't a great Leicester side.
Yeah, I mean, Arsenal should be way too strong for that. Even with a couple of injuries up top, I still feel like they should be, even if it's a 1 or 2-0, they should be fine.
They've had a week off as well. They didn't play FA Cup.
Yeah,
so.
You're welcome, Arsenal fans, by the way.
We're here to help.
We're here to help any way we can. Knocking your team out of the FA Cup, give us a call. We'll do it. But yeah, they should be way too strong for that Leicester team. Again, it's not a disrespect to Leicester, but that team just isn't of a quality, I think, to stay in the Premier League. And Arsenal are trying to fight for a potential Premier League title if Liverpool slip up. So, yeah, Arsenal should be way too strong for that, I think. Which probably means Leicester will go win 2-0 now that I've said it. But
Yeah, they probably will. It'll end up with Mbappe. Oh my God, he has scored. Mbappe has scored. Is it offside? I mean, he mishit that. A chip ball over the top.
They all count. If it counts, it counts.
They all count. And he's picked the moment. From what I've looked at, Madrid have been pushing. Madrid have been pushing for this equaliser. You always wonder with VAR though.
Nah, he's onside. He's way on. Gvardiol's playing him on. No. Oh my Lord, that is a miss hit.
that is about as fortunate a miss it could get. I mean, it just scoops up in the air, doesn't it? I'm just watching the replay now. So it's a free kick.
That's a shinner if we've ever seen one.
He doesn't even. Oh, he's timed it. Yeah, timed it perfect. He's behind Ake as well. Oh, he has shinned that with spin into the back.
Shinned with integrity.
Shinned with intent. Shintent from Mbappe, which has fooled everybody, including himself. But it's Real Madrid have equalised against Manchester City. Oh, isn't that delicious? Isn't that delicious? We did miss the Friday game, Grimmy, because it's the same one as the FA Cup, Brighton versus Chelsea. I think it's going to go exactly the same. I think Chelsea will score first and Brighton will score twice. And there we go.
So you don't think Chelsea are going to get some revenge and just turn up and blitz them 5-0 then?
No, they're just going to copy and paste. Copy and paste. I'm going for a copy and paste approach, which Brighton do need because they've been a bit. League form's dropped off a little tad, hasn't it? But more away from home than home, so they'll hope to do the business. Then you've got the 3 o'clocks. We've got Aston Villa versus Ipswich. Where are you sitting with that one?
I mean, it's Villa, isn't it? I mean, the strength they've got up top now, the energy of a Marcus Rashford on the left and Asensio backing Watkins up. It's Villa all day long, I think.
It's hard to look past them in that game. Funny things can happen though, Premier League, and as you said, a couple of new players at Villa. I think Rashford's going to have a decent spell here, and I think the same as you. Like, to be honest, when there's a lone player, like I know there's all this nonsense with Sancho and the freedom and all the rest of it, but I said, like, what do they expect when you have a lone player and people get in their backs? I'm kind of like, but what you need is for them to perform well, because if they don't perform well, then what you end up with is a player coming back that's even more out of form than when you let them go, that you can't sell.
Yep.
If they play well, then you have an opportunity to either integrate them back into the squad, or B, gain a transfer fee because everyone thinks they're a good player. Because of what they've done, having a poor loan deal all it does is push the problem back later and probably makes it twice as hard to sell him as it is now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously the issue with Rashford is if he plays amazingly, we can't get him back to then sell him on for like 70, 80 million. Villa have the 40 million to buy him. So I suspect if he gets 5, 6, 7 goals between now and the end of the season, I think they'll be buying him. So yeah, I judge by how he played against Spurs, there's every reason he could potentially do something like that. So, and again, he's got FA Cup games, Premier League games, Champions League games to play. So there's going to be plenty of opportunities for him to get himself into form and get that move that we know he wants. So yeah. Fingers crossed we get 40 million from him.
We'll see how that goes. Graham's telling me I'm written rule of football. When you play a team twice in quick succession, one team rarely wins both. You clearly never played for my 5-a-side team, Graham. We used to turn teams over. We used to have a back-to-back fixture and we'd always win that twice. Well, or lose it twice. It was always the same result when we did that. Spenny fan Chris says, though, I know all about that with Spenny more, Graham. Back to the fixtures. We've got Manchester City. Manchester City Newcastle this weekend. Off the back of whatever's going to happen to Manchester City here to inform Newcastle. That's a dangerous one for City.
Yeah. I'm going to go Newcastle. I feel like I'm really buying what Newcastle are doing this year, and I feel like, I memean, they're both in great form, to be fair. I mean, Newcastle have lost 2 out of the last 6. City have lost 1 out of the last 6. There's just something about Newcastle where I feel like they can go into any game against anybody and pull something out. So yeah, why not give them a cheeky away win at City, which they've probably not had. I don't think I've seen them win at City for a very long time. So they're probably due one, to be fair.
Yeah, I think they've got the feels about them at the minute. The good feels. Off the back of the EFL Cup, they're going to be feeling good. They're playing in good form. Isak's absolutely on fire. There's kind of no real. They're up there fighting in the Premier League, but the pressure's not really on there either. So, I think that could be a banana skin, particularly with the fact of how much City would have had to put into here. They had to bring a couple of their players off against Leyton Orient to bring on two, and this is going to take a lot out of them, whichever way it goes. While Newcastle are just sitting at home, ready, waiting for them. So, I think that's a possibility. I think certainly at least a draw, I reckon, on the cards for Newcastle.
As long as Isak or Gordon scores, that's good for my fantasy team, so I will take it.
This is it. Everyone loves a bit of Isak. Then we have I call this a South Coast derby. Heather will want me to call this a South Coast derby. There is a rivalry, but it's more from the Bournemouth side and the Southampton fans knowing the Southampton side. But Bournemouth don't. They want to beat Southampton. They're not a fan, and I think they're going to beat Southampton because everybody's been beating Southampton. I know they won the other week. But can you see anything else but Bournemouth causing them all sorts of trouble here?
I feel like it's a not really a discussion for me in my head. If I see Bournemouth away at Southampton or even at home, or Bournemouth could be playing a different stadium to Southampton, I still think Bournemouth would win. Just Bournemouth are, like we've talked about many a time. I think they've been a class act this year, and especially with the injuries they've had. I mean, all these teams that complain about injuries and having players out, and Bournemouth are sitting there in 3 points off the top four, probably going to finish above some big clubs as well if they keep doing what they're doing. So, yeah, Bournemouth win all day, every day for me.
Yeah, I can't look past a Bournemouth win there, you'd imagine. Then you have West Ham versus Brentford. I think that's a tricky one to call because Brentford away from home are not they have picked up a few more wins away from home than they had at the start of the season, but they're not the same animal as home. And again, Potter, West Ham, it's new. Mbappe's just at the post. Oh, he was offside. And bloody late flags do my head in. Put the flag up anyway. If he's off, he's off. West Ham versus Brentford, Grimmy.
I'm going to go for a Desmond.
Oh, I was going to say a Desmond. It just screams Desmond.
Screams a Desmond. Brentford and West Ham. Yeah, Desmond.
I like it.
I don't think we'll get a double Desmond, unfortunately, but I think we'll get a Desmond.
They're for rare occasions, They are rare. If you had too many double Desies, then it wouldn't be as special. I think this is it. It has to be a joyous occasion when a double Desi pulls itself out.
Yeah, I do like how, though, if I do see a double Desi, I have to immediately text you and be like, have you seen this score?
It's a must.
It's become a thing now. Like if I see some, even in Football Manager, if I see a double Desi in Football Manager, Sam is getting a screenshot. As sad as that sounds, it's 100% true.
It is, and every time I appreciate a double Desi. If you don't know, Grimmy and I used to do Football Manager streaming competitions. We used to commentate on them, didn't we, with everybody? And the dream was always for a double. It never happened on a live stream. Actually,
no.
Never happened.
We got very close a couple of times, but it never did.
We did get very close and got very excited, but we never saw one live. So, but we'll enjoy one whenever we see it because it's just a momentous football match. Will this be a momentous football match? Crystal Palace versus Everton. Tough to call because we don't know what Everton are going to do tomorrow night and how much that's going to take out of them.
Yeah, I think it's one of those where you have to take that into consideration. I would maybe sneak a Palace 2-1, maybe. Because Mateta's been in good form. They like playing at home, Palace. They're quite strong at home defensively as well. So I think they might just squeak that one.
Yeah, I think the same. I think Palace at home is a different proposition. I think Palace will just have enough. It's the evening kickoff. So even to be honest, even if Everton go and get a result against Liverpool, it's going to take a lot out of them. That's going to be Wednesday night into Saturday. So I think Palace will possibly just sneak that. Yep. On to the Sunday games, and again another one playing Wednesday. Liverpool versus Wolves. Liverpool versus Wolves.
I mean,
home win.
Yeah. I mean, as much as Wolves have started to turn it around, I still think I say that they've lost 4 out of 6 games, so maybe not. Yeah, it's Liverpool, isn't it? Like it's Liverpool in this season, the way they're playing in the league. It's difficult to see them dropping anything.
Yeah, I think at home in particular, that Wolves defence, I think it's sets up nicely for Liverpool. I think that'll be a good one. Sean wants an absolute football podcast, Football Manager Network save.
I have called out for this many a time. Sean, I'm with you.
Grimmy has called out for this. It won't be on FM25, but maybe one day. I'm still trying. One day, I reckon. I've had an idea, but we need to get it to work. Is we get Shah on Football Manager, and she can make the decisions.
That would be a series all of it. You could make that a channel all of its own, Sam.
Exactly, the Charlotte Football Manager journey, where she's effectively making the decisions, and when we're clicking the buttons for her in terms of what's going on, seeing if she can take Rochdale out of the National League to glory. I mean, that screams legendary series to me.
It does. That's like 1 million views in one go.
That's got potential written all over it. And then there's one more game. Oh God,
do we have to? Do we have to? Really?
Oh, I didn't realise this was happening this weekend. I thought we got the time off. Was that penalty, Man City? We've done our bit for the match. I've done our bit for the month. Is it a penalty? Am I right?
I mean, they're all standing around looking to take a goal kick, but
he's pointing. Yeah, I got confused by the referee's point. I only saw someone fly in at the last minute on Lewis, and it's not a penalty.
Thank God.
Crisis averted. But will there be somewhere where there is a crisis? Tottenham Hotspur versus Manchester United. That is the battle of the underachievers. But Tottenham are in. I mean, we're not doing great. Let's be honest. Let's not sugarcoat it. But for Tottenham, it's got really, really, really bad, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean,
that could be a double dizzy. I'm not lying to you. That could potentially happen. How shambolic we both are.
I disagree because I can't see us scoring 4 goals in a game.
I'm thinking about the EFL Cup game. Remember how bonkers that was?
If we get past 2 goals on Sunday, I would be amazed the way we are trying not to put the ball in the back of the net at the minute. 1-1 draw.
You're going 1-1 draw. I'm going
not confident at all.
3-4, almost a double dizzy.
You want the reverse?
Exactly, the reverse of the AFL Cup.
Well, actually, you say that, but like, it's not beyond the realms of possibility. Because if you think about it, wasn't there something strange? Didn't Amarim do something strange with our team, and then he switched it back in the second half, and we came alive, didn't we?
We played a very different way against Spurs, and it was a very, very open game. And Ange doesn't do anything but. So I just think that it could be chaos. And I mean, it's a massive clash, obviously, between 13th and 14th in the Premier League. So we weren't going to talk Ange. I'm surprised he's still there, Grimmy.
The curse is broken.
Oh no, I do like him, but I'm surprised that they stuck. I thought the Liverpool one would be enough. Then they go out to Villa with that, and I'm like, well, they must really be sticking with him then, because what else have they? They're in the Europa League like us, but normally Tottenham have sacked managers for less.
Yeah, they totally have. I mean, Europa League is the thing that is telling me that if they can win the Europa League and somehow luck themselves into a Champions League appearance next year, it'd be
genius. But they're not winning football matches, are they?
But in Europe they do seem to be a bit freer, or have the ability to be a bit freer, and they can probably hope if they get a bit further that they'll get some players back. So maybe
they've got players to come back. So that's the only thought process, maybe, while they're hanging to see because like us, the league season's kind of done. But they've not won in the league since they beat Southampton on the 15th of December.
And they've lost crazy.
And they lost like 3 games before that. They lost to Chelsea, lost to Bournemouth, they drew with Fulham.
Well, they beat Brentford recently, didn't they?
Yes, you're right. Yeah, Brentford did. Yeah, Brentford cut that run, didn't it? Yeah, they beat City, then they had a poor run, then they beat Southampton, and they went on that crazy run where they didn't win in the Premier League, and then Brentford.
Yeah.
Who knows?
That was that was a weird one, actually, the Brentford one, because I for some reason I had nothing to do on a Sunday afternoon, and I thought the best way to spend my time was watching Brentford Spurs, and Spurs actually kept the ball pretty well. Well, I say pretty well. They kept it better defensively than they have the previous 2 months. And that's probably what ended up winning them the game. And Brentford were awful going forward, which is weird to say at home. But yeah, they can't. Oh yeah, I just think they've just must have made the decision like we're sticking with Ange no matter what, and we'll back him in the summer. That's the only way this can be working, unless they're literally saying we'll just start again in the summer and get rid of him then. But
it's either that or they're scouting what they're going to do. But I think the board's just a mess because this is just cycle and repeat. There's similarities. There's a reason why both Manchester United and Tottenham are in the same kind of area, and there are similarities in both in terms of the way things are happening, have been run, and cycles. It very much seems a cycle again because you haven't got to go too far back to that incredible start there at the end of last season, but we're not going to go into the depth of style of play. I can't do it again. It's too much.
You're getting depressed talking about Spurs, even though you're a Man United fan, which is saying something. So.
Well, exactly, and it's Tottenham Man United, and I imagine that it's going to be talked about next week. So
I might just turn the radio off next week. I might not listen to anything. I might turn podcasts off. I might do it. I just might cease to exist on social media next week after that game.
Yeah, it could be chaos, and there has been chaos. There's chaos going on at Graham's because Charlton have scored a late what we think is a winner. Gillespie 2-1 Charlton against Peterborough. Massive in League One. God, Peterborough in trouble in that league. That's a
no.
City scored.
No, they've got a penalty. Foden. Foden's rolling around like he's being shot, man. Get up.
So you must be ahead of me because I think he's about to get fouled.
I'm on 38 seconds.
No. I'm not having that.
He's leapt in the air like an absolute salmon.
No.
Yeah,
you'll see the replay before me, but watching that in real time, knowing it was coming.
Yeah, probably.
He moves the ball quickly. He's outside the box.
From the camera angle, it looks like he's side by side, but from the other angles, it looks like he's in front of him. I mean, Foden's making an absolute bellyache of this, but good lord. Ceballos, did he not play for Spurs at one point?
Yes.
not to bring it back to Spurs in any way, shape, or form.
Not to link it, as it always does. Get that on the t-shirt. There you go. Leapt in the air like a salmon. like a salmon. He's still down. Is he still down? He's still down.
Oh, yeah. Foden's. Do you not know? Foden's practically dislocated his knee in that tackle.
It's gone. He must have hurt himself now.
Although saying that, his knee has hit his knee, so maybe
it's that vibration thing, isn't it?
Oh,
it's knee on knee. Just having a look again.
Unfortunately, I'm having to listen to the.
Foden's foot's on the box, isn't it? Is on the line on the box. So there we go. You're going to see it before me, Grimmy. So you'll have to tell us what happens with the old penalty as it happens.
You might know. You might be able to tell if they miss it.
Do you reckon?
I might give it away.
Just a thought.
Just a hint.
Ancelotti looks steaming. I've never seen him look so angry.
It did look, in real time. It looked a bit soft. It did, but I think on replay it probably is a penalty.
I think it was the jump. Do you know what it was? Because he's moved his feet. He's done the left to right little jink, and I think because as he did it, he jumped. But then when you see the angle that the Madrid player Ceballos came across, it was a silly position to make the tackle.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those, isn't it? Juve have scored elsewhere. Juve 2, PSV 1. Some big clashes going on in the Champions League at the minute. So we'll stay with Grimmy for this penalty. You go do us a live feed, Grimmy, in terms of what's going on. You can be on the ground.
Haaland has the ball.
Kamara.
He has put it on the spot. The City fans look way too happy. Rodri has a coat on.
Rodri, there's key moments in the penalty here.
Courtois is there. He's putting his arm out. Oh, he's putting his arm out to the same side. Haaland steps up and he scored. Is it one leg or two legs these playoffs?
Two. It's two.
Oh, that's all right then. So they get to go to Madrid.
Well, the thing is, Madrid have had some chance. I think this is going to be nip and tuck the whole way through. I'm just watching the power. It's good pen.
It's a shame away goals don't count anymore. I missed that.
Yeah, I did it. I did that extra. Yeah, there's some sort of going out on away goals sucked. That was.
Oh, it hurt. Yeah.
The bit I never agreed with away goals was when it went to extra time.
Yeah.
Like I got it for the 90 and the 90, and then if you ended up in a draw situation with extra time, because you're like, I suppose they were trying to do that to balance the fact that the home team had the advantage, so that you still got away got that, but that balance didn't seem the same to me when you then got to extra time.
Yeah, that didn't make sense really, did it?
But hey, it worked better than golden goals. Remember golden goals? I didn't stay.
I remember the old calling cup days. Extra time, goal to goal, you were done and dusted. Oh, those were the days.
Golden goals. They should be kids' playgrounds only. That's school lunchtime. The bell goes, go and goal. Next goal wins. Next goal wins.
Oh, you could have battered the team 20-0, and then it was next goal wins, and you end up losing it. It was the most devastating feeling.
Oh, it was horrendous. I'll always remember the last. We'd made such a big thing out of the last day at school, and for some reason at our school they wouldn't tell you what the last day of school was, because I think they thought everybody would come in with, like, I don't know, machetes and smash the school up or something. I don't know what they thought was going to happen. So it was always a bit, but then we managed to sniff out when it was. So we found out on the last day that was the last day. So then we were like, this is the last game. So that was like the golden goal of golden goals. Whoever scores this is going to be the hero forever, scoring the last goal at school, the last whatever. And we had a player that played in our team who was crap at football. He was one of those quality mates that had no idea what he was doing. So we said, just goal hang. Like, we're just goal hang.
Stay there and wait for the ball.
Stay there. And I remember I picked the ball up down the right wing, skipped past the left back, picked him out, clean through, 2 yards from goal.
Oh, no.
And completely miskicked it, and it went through his legs. And we played for another 10 minutes, and then the teacher took the ball because nobody scored, and we were like halfway through the afternoon lesson. So yeah, it ended in stalemate, unfortunately. But that was his moment.
What position did you play, Sam?
Me, I was I mixed. I did play striker. I would play right wing in those days. I could play left as well, but I was a bit nippy, so I could sort of nick around. So yeah, I was playing. I was facilitator. I was an assister. I was a big assister, and I should have had one that day, but unfortunately, my striker went all Kai Havertz on me, and it didn't quite happen. Golden Goals TV show opportunity missed there. Yeah, absolutely. Golden Goals would have been a nice one. And Graham's got 3 points. 3 points in the bag for Charlton. So he's done his bit. Well, I haven't got anything else on my agenda, Grimmy. Is there anything else you have on your agenda? Anything else you want to talk about before we wrap it up?
I just wish I could see Sam's footballing prime, whether it's five-a-side or wherever. I just wish we had that on tape somewhere.
I don't think there is. There's no tape of me. I did, as I got a little bit older, I did play more kind of centre midfield. I always felt I was a decent passer. I was a good passer. Had good vision, etc. around it, and decent like initial acceleration. Not so much the long-term pace now, but my first couple of steps were pretty fast. So yeah, I did all right. Got a few top goal scoring trophies from my five-a-side days as well. It's in there. Next to my tennis trophy, so doing all right. But I think I got
player of a tournament at a Cub Scout football tournament once.
Oh, me too.
See, that's how you know you've got the good pundits on here. Did they get a man of the tournament or boy of the tournament?
Man of the tournament.
Cub Scout tournament award. There you go.
This is it. And you know, I remember mine because I was younger than all the other lads in there. And we had an A team and a B team, and they pushed me up to the B team because I was playing. I was playing for a year above actually when I was really young. I played for a year above the boys I was playing with. So they put me in their team, but they were all mates, and I was like the young lad that was coming in. So they'd kind of do their own thing. And I played some bits in the group, and we got to the semi-finals, right? Semi-finals, and I had a half decent game. They went to a penalty shootout. Everybody missed, both teams. There was 9 penalties missed, and then it was coming up to me, and then they were like, "No, so and so is going to take another one." I was like, "Well, no, what do you mean? I haven't taken a penalty yet. Like you've all missed. I'm having a penalty." The Cub Scout leader went, "No, Sam's having a penalty." Smashed it bottom corner. Of course I did.
Of course you did.
Into the final, and then in the final scored the first goal in the final as well. So you know.
Funnily enough, in the scout tournament that I played in, we got to the final as captain, obviously. I was the Roy Keane of our five-a-side team in that tournament. Let me tell you. And we won 1-0 against our arch rivals in Seaton Delville, who any club competition, whether it was football or any other sport, they were the main rivals who we had to beat. And we won 1-0 from yours truly scoring. And that was the greatest footballing achievement of my career. Never mind a double Desmond on a Football Manager game.
That was it. You should have retired then. Should have retired into that Cub Scout tournament.
To be fair, my football career did peak then. It didn't really go anywhere further than that. But yeah, good times.
It was good times, and we've got to say hello to Michael. How are you doing, mate? I hope you're well. So I'm doing very well, and he's very happy because he's a Leeds fan. Leeds are 5 points clear, so I think they might be coming up to join us on the Premier League show next.
I know a guy from Leeds. I know a guy.
I know a guy. We know a guy from Leeds. We do know a guy from Leeds. Spenny Van Chris remembers getting the most improved player at Newcastle Soccer School from 1996. Fair play to him. Graham's got a top honorary participant. That's a good trophy.
I got a top trainer in the Alan Shearer Training Academy at school once. And my granddad... Oh, Madrid!
Oh, have they gone Desi?
Madrid.
Have they gone Desi? So I get this now on delay. So
21.
I enjoy this attack knowing it's going to end well. Oh, what's happened there?
Oh,
what's Edison done?
Brahim scored. Pep looks very
put your hands up. What was Edison's save all about? Did he just hit his chest? Or was it hit the post and rebounded? He didn't look to put his arms up when the bloke shot.
So Edison's had an absolute stinker of a clearance. Bellingham's picked it up. Moved it out to the wing. Plays the through ball to Vinicius. Edison saves it. Brahim is there to tap it in.
But is he with the save? Because on the first view, and it looked like he didn't even put his hands up for it. Yeah, the clearance.
No, it kind of hits him like shoulder chest area, and then he kind of can't really do anything with it, and then it just falls to Brahim, and he puts it away.
I don't look at what's his hands doing here. I think he's got to do better with his hands. He's got to push that away.
Yeah,
he's not got his hands up quick enough.
Mm-hmm.
Well, never mind. 2-2. Happy with that.
What a shame, eh?
Not going to grumble. And
Exeter have had a man sent off apparently.
Oh, that's all going on. Graham says, of course, it's only fitting that City provided Desmond with the love of Desmond. It is. It seems. I think that's going to have to be how we end it. We have to end it.
We literally have a double Desmond going on here. We've got City 2-2 and we've got Exeter 2-2.
We've doubled it up. We need to go before anybody scores any more goals. So let's get on to the wonderful stuff that we need to cover at the end of the show. Grimmy, where can everybody find you and your lovely golfing videos?
Oh yeah, yeah. There's a few places you can find me, which sounds a lot better than it sounds. It sounded a lot better in my head than it sounded out loud. So main place to find me, as you can see on this bit next to where my name is on the screen, Saint Grimmy YouTube channel, mainly my gaming channel, doing all sorts recently, just trying a bit of hand of everything. But that being said, next Friday we have the early release of PGA Tour 2K25, and so I've been doing a lot of coverage on that recently and got a couple more videos coming out this week in preparation for the early access release. And when that releases on early access, I will be doing a stream on the Friday and pretty much every day for the next week. Ooh. So I will be hitting the ground running on that one. So if you want to see me stress out about whether to play a flop shot or a god-awful shot in the sand or deep in the rough somewhere, or I've hit about 1,000 balls into the deep sea territory, feel free to join me as I tear my hair up.
Okay.
And yeah, and then one last place is the Taking the Pin Wrestling Podcast. New episode out tomorrow. And that's about it. So
this is it. Taking the pin, taking the pits, taking the
the pitch, maybe.
Taking the pitch, synchronized swimming, taking the pool. I think it's all waiting and ready for us.
We'll start a tennis podcast together called Taking the Courts.
I like it. Taking the courts. I like it. taking the courts. And Graham says he's looking forward to trying the 2K25 demo on PS5. You need to watch Grimmy's preview videos because it's going to hype you, Graham. You're going to be hyped.
It is. Hopefully,
hyped.
Anyway.
Hyped and ready. And you can catch me if you want. I am on Twitter on Sam Absolute FBL, and I've just done a video this week because I thought, why not on my channel?
My lord,
it's
been a while.
It has been too long.
I've been waiting.
I've been waiting. I've been waiting for some damn time to do a video. So I did. I did one on my EFL channel. Check out Sam Absolute EFL. It's a championship review for what happened all at the weekend. I know there's championship going on now, but it was I'm mucking around with a few graphics trying to do a video. I'm trying to find a way I can do my videos a little bit quicker because time with podcasts and everything else has been a problem. So I'm trying to find a way I can bring that a little bit more regular because I do enjoy doing them. So check that out on Sam Absolute EFL. And the other thing to check out, if I can find the right baton, is all the stuff to do with, of course, the wonderful Absolute Football Podcast. Yes, we are the best new content creator. We are going to tell you every week, and we don't apologize for it. But you can catch us here on a Tuesday. On a Tuesday at 8:30, absolutely Premier League. On Wednesday, absolute women's football. And on Thursday, absolutely lower league. So we've got plenty more content still coming this week with all the wonderful stuff. You can find us on Twitter, Absolute Ball Pod, YouTube, Absolute Football Podcast, and Twitch as well. TikTok, Absolute Football Pod. Instagram, Absolute Football Podcast _. On Blue Sky, Absolute Football. And on Facebook, the Absolute Football Podcast. We are practically everywhere. And I say Grimmy Grummy. This is what confuses me. Graham is Grummy in the chat as well. We've got a Grimmy and a Grummy. Need a League One video? Yes, you do, Graham. And I'm working on one, actually. There is one trying to be worked on. So there is possibly that's coming out. And I'll make sure I tell you when it is ready. And I'll make sure I give it a lot of Charlton love. Don't you worry. But thank you, Grimmy. It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure to just spend the evening chin wagging with you with a couple of Desmonds.
Show. Is there anything better?
There isn't. There isn't at all. Although Spenny Fan Chris has just shoved something in the chat, we may have to stay because hey Jude.
Oh,
hey Jude.
I've missed it. God damn it. I missed it. Jude Bellingham, you absolute legend. Look at the misery on Pep's face.
He's
Pour
loving
it into my veins, baby. Oh, good Lord.
We love it. We love it. So we'll just end with this.
Oh.
Who else? Hey Jude. Who else? 3-2. A la Madrid.